Good morning, and welcome to our press conference on the airport. We have a lot of things that are going incredibly well. Sometimes it's a little in our enterprise departments, but they are doing very well, and we thought it was time that we kind of got out here and showed you some of what's going on. So you have a chance a little bit to see behind me some of the things that we do every day, some of the things that go on in the city and work that gets done, and we're very proud of, and we certainly appreciate all of our enterprises. We do have a couple things we want to talk about beforehand, and then I'm going to turn it over to Amy Miller, who's going to let both Matt and Clark talk to you about some things. We'll allow you to ask questions that are airport and port related, and then I'll come back up here and I'll be happy to answer general questions we go through today. But I want to start off looking at some things last week that we did. Most of the time I do that. Very excited to have, I think Pensacola always looks its best when we honor our military, and I thought Thursday was a great example on Veterans Day. I saw many of you there at the events that were going on. It was a great day. Pensacola looked beautiful again. Certainly the Major General who spoke from the Air Force did a great job of speaking at the event. It's always a very moving event to be a part of. We live in a community that has a number of veterans. In fact, I've often heard that Northwest Florida has the highest concentration and percentage of veterans as anywhere in the United States. So we certainly appreciate their service and what they did to serve our country. And we're glad that we get to show it off with many different branches. The Navy here that we think of most in Pensacola, but certainly the Air Force just to our east, and certainly the Marines and Coast Guard, and even we have some Army as well. So again, I think Pensacola does a great job of recognizing and working with its veterans, and I thought Thursday was a great day. This weekend was an incredible weekend. If you had a chance to take part in some of the activities that were going on, great to see. Go UWF, go Argos. We're going to have a playoff game here in Pensacola. They won the golf conference. It was great to see finally a Florida football team that could beat a Georgia football team, so that was good. So we are very excited about that, excited about them. Clearly that hopefully puts them into the number 2 slot going into this playoffs. We'll have more games here at Blue Wahoo Stadium. We hope you will go. 7,000 people. That was just amazing. I can't wait to see what happens for the playoff games. Very excited to have those here. I think that would be great. Weather like this, who wouldn't want to come to Pensacola? So we get a chance to show off, so that's good. Other things that were happening, Fufu Fest. If you didn't get a chance to see that, it was simply amazing at the Cultural Center and the Arts Museum. I thought they did an incredible job. I had a chance to see David Bayer and some other people that were involved with Fufu Fest on Saturday night. I thought it was an excellent job that they did and really looked good in what was going on. So very excited to see what was going on there. We just had a number of events occurring. I know that I couldn't get to all of them. I appreciate Lawrence Powell stepping in for me at the Veterans Run that was also this weekend. So I know there were a number of things. I did manage to get a few text messages that were upset about the runs, but that's one of the great things we have in this community is certainly if you're out and about on Saturday, you might have to change your travel directions. We have a lot of activities going on in this community. That's what makes a vibrant community, and we're very proud of. A couple of things that we want to talk about just a little bit going forward. The 2022 Mayor's Neighborhood Cleanup Schedule is now available. The first cleanup of the year will be Saturday, January 29th in downtown area. For more information about cleanups that will be sent out and published at the City of Pensacola's website prior to the cleanup date, residents will receive a postcard in the mail with their cleanup date, you can go right now to visit thecityofpensacola.com and view the schedule. COVID-19, again, at this point for the week of November 4th through the 11th, our positivity rate was 4.1%, which is well within the 5% we want to stay under. The previous week we had 3.4, but again, certainly we see this as continuing to show where we are. We've stayed in touch with the hospitals. We met with them in Escambia County doing more planning. The good news is they indicate that worldwide and everywhere else they see, certainly COVID is not going away, but they don't see anything that alarms them, that thinks that we have something like a Delta or some other variant going forward. Unfortunately, on our travel, my mayor's my Pensacola container didn't make it, so I got my own water today. But thank you very much to the port. You know, from a COVID standpoint, we are doing well at this particular time, and we don't see any chance of something being out there that could see a significant spike. So again, that's where we stand, and the conversations we've been having, good planning going forward to make sure that we are prepared if we ever see it. But at this point, they're saying we don't see anything out in the future that's really giving us tremendous concern. There will be no. The press conferences will resume on the 29th, and we will also stay tuned as we're going to have a different location on the 29th. We're going to take you on the road. Hopefully, we have as good of a day today that we do then. We're going to show off some other enterprise funds of Amy's, and hopefully show some things that they're doing, some great things. So hopefully, we are going to take advantage of the weather, and we have some great weather. We will not out with Keith Wilkins and some other people. Will be out in Arizona on the 22nd doing some hiking, but look forward to getting back on the 29th. And I will follow up my closing remarks. I do have some things just about Thanksgiving and how thankful I am. But when I look at and I think about how thankful I am for the people that work here at the City of Pensacola, I cannot say enough about our enterprise departments. With that, I'm going to call up, she's just taken the reins, but as soon as she did, they've blasted forward even further and better. And I'm going to let her come up here and talk to you a little bit about what's going on with the enterprise funds. If we could get our director of enterprise, Amy Miller, to come forward and talk to you a little bit about what's going on with her departments. Amy, thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Man, I thought it was going to be a lot cooler down here today than it is. This is great weather for this. I really have the easy job today. I'm pretty much just going to introduce Matt and Clark and let them talk. But the mayor mentioned Veterans Day, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that two of our rock star enterprise directors, Matt Coughlin and Clark Merritt, are both retired military. So thank you both for your service. It's not a whole lot of years ago that Pensacola International Airport was Pensacola Regional Airport, and there were two airlines, and they both flew to Atlanta, and you could show up 25 minutes before your flight and not have any problem getting to the gate on time. And if you've been to the airport recently, that's just no longer the case. Not only did the airport make it through COVID-19, but they've come back just roaring strong, breaking all the records that they've ever posted out there, and Matt's going to talk to you a little bit about that and a little bit about their plans for the future and how they plan to address that record growth. Likewise, the Port of Pensacola used to be the sleepy little Port of Pensacola with not a whole lot going on, and when you came in this morning, you saw something entirely different. If you haven't been down here for a while, it probably surprised you. But there's a lot going on at the port, and likewise, the port is also breaking every record it's ever posted. And Clark's going to talk a little bit about that and a little bit about the plans for how to address that record growth at the port and continue the implementation of our port master plan. After each of them speak, then we'll have an opportunity for questions about the two enterprises, and then the mayor will come back up with some closing remarks and questions for him. So with that, we'll start with Matt Coughlin, the director of Pensacola International Airport.
Thank you. Beautiful morning. How's everyone doing? So I came here this morning. I see a ship behind me. I feel a little bit uncomfortable. It should be an airplane, but that's okay because I see a bunch of drones flying around. So thank you for that. But anyway, hey, it's been an interesting couple of years at the airport. We're going through the pandemic. I think the best way to highlight it is where we were at one point, what the pandemic did to us immediately, and then how we see ourselves going into the future. So just kind of, I say this a lot, but back in 18-19, we were growing at a record level. We had double-digit growth both those years. And so all of a sudden the pandemic hits, and just like everybody, that went way down. So overnight our business And when I say business, I use the metric enplanements. Those are people who come in the front door and get on airplanes. But those numbers went down 92% overnight, just like the rest of the industry across the country. So that's a lot. I mean, when we're an enterprise fund and we get our revenue from those coming in the front door and the airlines, you lose 92% of that overnight. That has a devastating impact. So what we saw, though, since that April of a year and a half ago, what we saw is, even though the national numbers in the industry say they're down 50%, we were always riding about 20 points above that. So that was a good sign for us. And as of April of this year, we've surpassed our 2019 numbers. And like I said, those were record years. So over the summer, I look at numbers between Memorial Day and Labor Day. Our enplanements were up 25% from 2019, which is huge. We were able to bring on 2 new airlines. We brought on Spirit and Boutique, which is a small Central Air Service airline. They've since come on board here at Pensacola to give our constituents, if you will, more choice in their travel. Our number of destinations went up. We were typically, during the summer, we ride about 20 nonstop destinations. We went up to 30. We're in the shoulder season now, so that's drawn back a little bit, but we expect that to go back up. That being said, I do have an announcement. We were just informed just this last week that Delta Airlines will be providing nonstop service, daily service to LaGuardia. So that's going to give our customers more choice in their travel, and not only that, give them a nonstop option to get to the Northeast, which is great. So that's really good for us to add to our portfolio. So we see the next summer coming. We see enplanements continuing to grow. With that growth, as you see a lot of challenges around the airport. You know, whether it's parking your car when you come in, the longer lines. That's a good problem to have. But at the same time, we have to be ready to meet those challenges. Some of the projects we've had going on at the airport range. If you drove by the airport today, you'd see out front of the airport, we're adding more parking. We're adding about 300 stalls to the front of the airport, which will give us about a 10% increase in our ability to park for those that are coming to the airport with their vehicles. We have a new remain overnight ramp airside for aircraft to park, which is a revenue generator for us. That was completed this summer. The Customs and Border Patrol facility is on track to be complete in December. And we have our big ST project that's ongoing across the way. And if you were over there last week, you'd see we finally went vertical on hangar number 2, which is a great accomplishment on bringing the MRO campus, the Maintenance, Repair, and Overhaul Facility campus online at Pensacola International. So with that, we expect that hangar to be complete around the end of next year, December of next year. And then just prior to that, we're going to be start building out hangars 3 and 4. So there's a lot of stuff going on. One of the big challenges we face are just the sheer number of bodies coming into the airport. And so one of the things we're looking at right now is a new concourse. That's typically a 3 to 5 year planning process from planning to construction. We've already embarked on that road, and right now we've gone through the charrette phase on that, and the next step in that is to bring on a program manager and really get that ball rolling, because we really do need to meet the demand that Amy alluded to. So with that, that's some of the things going on at Pensacola International Airport. Glad to be here, even though I'm down at the port. It is beautiful here, though, I gotta say. And with that, I'll go ahead and introduce Clark.
So just real quick, if you look back in the annals of Port of Pensacola and Pensacola maritime history, you'll find lots of Merritts, and some of them are related to this guy. So it's only fitting that he became the port director at the Port of Pensacola after I moved on to City Hall. Clark Merritt, port director at Port of Pensacola.
Thanks, Amy. Morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out, and we did special order this weather for us because I was really nervous come last week about what it was going to look like. But seriously, welcome to our port. I'd like to say our port because we are a regional asset. We are, we support the citizens in Northwest Florida, and we do that with the help of our 7 long-term tenants. Many of those are recognized in the audience today, and I'll talk a little bit about who's here representing the port. But as the port has evolved and the partnership that we're in with our tenants, what we do is we strive to, we're a port. We import, we export. So critical to that is a tenant such as CMEX. CMEX is a long-term tenant. They've been here almost 20 years. They are importing bulk cement, okay? So that bulk cement, and this just started recently over the past about 12 months. They are importing from Mexico bulk cement, and our total imports this year were up over 50% to 173,000 tons. A bulk of that, pardon the pun, is due to CMEX and them ramping up their vessels. They invested about $1 million in their facility on port to be able to handle that cargo, and so that's been very successful for them. And what that does, along with our aggregate customer, Martin Marietta, and Kelly's here in the audience, so thanks for coming down, Kelly, is having those raw materials come in via vessel, it keeps prices down, right? You don't have to import that aggregate or that bulk cement from some other location, Panama City, Mobile, etc. So that's key to us and key to the area. So and our total tonnage was up over 13% year to year. So we were up to 250,000 tons this year, which is an increase from the year before, from 2020. And so we just continue to move along, at I won't say record pace, but record for us over the past decade. Additionally, our GE cargo is still importing and exporting. Matthew Pate in the back there is another long-term family of the Port of Pensacola. So Pate Stevedore handles these GE products that you see surrounding us right here, these nacelles, and his crew that's here. What you might have noticed driving in as well is Streamline Boats of Northwest Florida. Okay, so they are under construction with their 100,000 square foot facility, which down the main road that you came to park out here, you'll see the kind of skeleton frame out of their building. So very exciting. By the time that is built out, they'll employ about 60 people. So hopefully, roughly about a year from now, they should be having manufactured boats come out, ranging in 26 to over 50 feet. So pretty exciting to have Streamline on board. Of course, I'd be really remiss if we didn't talk about the Coughlin behind me and our other tenant, Offshore Inland Marine. I don't see anybody here from offshore, but offshore is the customer who has the contract with Blue Origin, who is modifying that former cargo vessel and for Blue Origin to turn it into a landing platform vessel, which will catch the New Glenn rocket, which is the big rocket. So people say the only space port in Florida is Cape Canaveral. You can say no, the Port of Pensacola is in the space race. So great to have them here, and they've been here for a while and continue good business with them. Under Mayor Robinson's leadership and with Amy's help, we've also worked with the port plan to keep the port diversified. Case in point is Pensacola Bay Oysters, Donnie McMahon's operation that is actually using Pensacola Bay water in their growing process. They pump it in, use it to feed their stock, and then they discharge it back into the bay cleaner than when it came out. So that's a great green program, diversified aquaculture, and it's been very beneficial to have him on port. Additionally, you have Pensacola Bay Ferries, which is also under the port's control. They're just outside the gate. Joe Acevedo and his team, but that's a critical link to Pensacola Beach. Had suffered some pretty catastrophic damage from Sally, but they've bounced back and they've had a good bounce back season. So we look forward to them having a great spring. Overall, I'd like to just kind of wrap it up and say our port revenues were almost about $3 million, which is doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it is for us. Don't forget the port takes no general fund tax revenues, and we carry no long-term debt. So we really run a lean machine here. We reinvest in the infrastructure where we can. We were hit fairly hard by Sally, but we're bouncing back with our Fema projects. So the Fema projects are well underway. We have our berth project, which you can see on the waterfront there that you might notice. Additionally, we'll have some shoreline protection done. And then you probably did notice the roads. So the main thoroughfare on the port. So all these projects are in work right now, and we look forward to wrapping those things up just in time for next hurricane season. Just kidding. So, gotta love them. But that's it. I appreciate the time, and once again, thanks for coming out to our port.
Thank you, Clark.
Just a discussing, we didn't have just U.S. territory in 1821, so in 1819 we didn't have an airport. That was 2018, 2019. But and again, I know Ricky Bobby said if you're not first, you're last, but we're number 9. We broke into the top. So we're gonna be having. You don't know what's happening here in Pensacola, and this is our chance to kind of tell the story about what is going on and what we are doing. But at this time, if you have questions related to airport or port, we'd be happy to take those, and then I'm going to come up here and wrap up and let you take other questions. But questions for airport or port? Go ahead, Andrew.
Other than the damage to the future streamlined boats facility, the old offshore inlet building, what other things happened because of Sally, and where are you at on recovery from that?
Andrew, our most significant damage was, since we're so exposed on the water, was our berth project. Our berth, which is directly behind you, berths 2, 3, and 5 were heavily damaged. That project is underway. It's about a 210-day process from start to finish for that, and I'd say they're about halfway through that. We're waiting on the fenders to come in from Asia, so we're going to go back with a more sustainable and robust berth. So it's a complex system that was installed before that really accommodated an old method that we found is just not durable enough. And so for that, we're probably about 20 to 30% through that berth repair project. The shoreline protection project is going to be out for bid here imminently. So that's the riprap and the protection on either side of the port. Our road and rail beds that were washed out and inundated from the floodwaters, those are just getting ready for bid. What else do we have? We have our warehouse construction or warehouse damage. That contract has been let and the contractor is underway, but that's also about a 200-day start to finish process for that. Trying to think what else we have. We've wrapped up. The ferry landing was lightly damaged. We've repaired that completely. We had some minor damage to our facilities at the gate, fencing, etc. Those were wrapped up. So our big project really is the berth project, which is underway.
How much?
Yeah, the ferry dock. The floating ferry dock came loose. That is also underway.
How much of your standard offloading and onloading capacity are you using right now, given the damage to the berthing facility?
So we are down. We've been using one berth 6, for all our cargo. For the bulk cement.
One, right? Isn't that the one that was the most in need of rehab?
Yeah. Correct. That's the resurfacing or the deck replacement that we're working towards the funding on that. Now we have done some limited cargo on berth 5, but most of it's going through berth 6. So the big Bari vessels offloading the GE equipment, they can drop the ramp there as well as in between some of the warehouses, which is the way we used to do it.
So you're putting record CMEX through 1/3 of the capacity?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what we're excited about. Once we get everything back open and we have all our flexibility back, it's going to make scheduling is very key.
Has that affected your ability to do GE stuff or anybody else, or are you?
It's a little bit of a shell game in some respect, but the tenants work well together. I mean, they have to. We're a 60-acre port, so you really have to make sure the pieces are moving fluidly. That's a word.
Any other questions for airport or port? John?
This is for Director Coughlin.
Okay.
Just recently, the FAA issued an airworthiness bulletin warning airplane operators of the potential hazards of the C-band class of 5G frequencies and cell phones. A number of these transmitter and repeater sites have been installed or are being permitted in the city. Many of them are in the approaches and departure from Pensacola Airport. What's your message to the flying public about the dangers of 5G Class C radiation to aircraft?
So that's a good science question. So the issue at hand is what you do is the 5G has a frequency spectrum, and very close to that is the same spectrum used for what we call radar altimeters, which is a navigation instrument on a lot of aircraft. Not all aircraft, but some aircraft. So the radar altimeter, what that does for an aircrew, it basically says at that given instant, what is their height above the ground. So if you look at Pensacola in particular, again, a lot of these aircraft don't have that. They use what they call a barometric altimeter and different instruments, if you will. For the instrument approaches coming into Pensacola, there's not a radar altimeter requirement. Keep in mind, there's redundancies built across the system, whether it's the type of instrument approaches they use, there's always options. And no matter which runway you go to, they have different options. So there's a million variables that play into it. Now, to answer your question, the bottom line is, operationally speaking, I don't see it having any impact here in Pensacola.
All right. Well, thank you both and Amy for what you're doing. We're going to take you to next 2 weeks from now. We're going to take you to show you some more things that we're doing. I'm excited, and I think Andrew, you said it. I mean, we're with limited capacity. If we put ourselves back to 100%, there's no telling what we could do. But that's what's going on here. There were a couple things that I just want to touch basis on. Clearly, after last week with the council and the homelessness, I think Jeremy, that's not a rubber stamp by any means, as I said it wasn't, and it will be interesting to see what comes out of that. I think Council President Moore is trying to reschedule a meeting for that, maybe on the 1st, but we'll look to see what we can do that's happening. There was some confusion that happened, and that was probably a little bit on our side. We did not intend for Lotus to be a part of that. We're going to be looking to try to drop Lotus out and bring Lotus on its own to the December 18th date. So in council meeting. So we planned for it not to go through the same process. It was not scored. It was not handled. It was more that was a city project, and we intended to bring it through City Council at a regularly scheduled meeting, the one in December. So that's happening. Today, you're going to see agenda review, and you're going to have some comments about some things that we're doing with Parks and Rec. Obviously, we were very successful, and we're happy with getting the money from the county, and we're looking forward to starting the improvements at Roger Scott Tennis Facility. For some reason, some people who've been on the council for a long time decided that this is now, despite being on the council for 11 years and everything operating this way, that all of a sudden now it's going to be a problem that we hire somebody to run our stuff. We hire them to run Roger Scott. We've been doing that for years. In fact, the current provider that was there was selected before I came on board and approved by the City Council. That is also what's done at Osceola, and we have, even at the airport, we have private vendors who sell food service. We don't do that ourselves. We typically have for-profit people we contract with, so it's not something unusual. It's not something we haven't been doing. Second thing is we are not cutting down any trees that are in front of the area with the oak trees. The only trees we're losing are the ones in the back that go toward the airport, and really that's to deal with stormwater. We haven't ever dealt with stormwater at Roger Scott. It's been part of the problem that's hurt neighborhoods in that area. Well, we plan to divert water back to the back, and then it can overflow into Lake Flynn. As I like to say, I walk on Cherry May Garden. We have that little new pond at the new parking lot. I call that Lake Coughlin. So we still have Lake Flynn over there by the tennis courts. We will discharge into there. That's the only place we would love not to cut down any trees. But again, one of the problems we have is preparing for stormwater. It's been one of the biggest things with infrastructure that we can do, and we certainly support that. And again, from that standpoint, we're going to finally have some drainage that's going there from the courts back there into the back. So Again, I think this is a super project. I'm sorry that some council members have taken a chance to play politics with it. I mean, I think when we're doing stuff, it's about amenities and it's about people, and we should be worried about people and not politics. So we'll see what happens today, but that's one thing that we're going to be moving forward. And lastly, I think you just saw a chance to see, as we head into Thanksgiving, men and women that work here at the City of Pensacola. They do an amazing job. And again, I can't say enough of how thankful I am for what they do for this community. Things happen on the roads, you go to fields and play, and with your children, parks. Your business runs and things happen, and new buildings get built, and all this happens without people really thinking about what goes on. And it happens because there are 800 men and women that come to work every day. They protect your public safety, they promote public assets, and they make things happen for this community that are truly remarkable and magical, what you've seen over the last few years. I'm just grateful for these men and women that work here, and they do an incredible job every day coming to work. And I can't think of enough things to good say as we approach the Thanksgiving season, how grateful I am. Even PIO putting on a great event like this, and us getting to see what we're doing here. It just shows you what the skills that they have, the things that they do, and why this is such a great community to live in is because of them. So that's kind of where I'll end today before we end Thanksgiving, but I'm happy to answer any of your questions on anything outside of and I'll answer anything on the port and the airport, but really those questions outside of that. All right, well, this has been a successful meeting. I didn't get any questions. We'll see you on November 29th. Thank you very much for being out here, and let's look out for Casey. She'll tell you where we're going. We're going to take you back on the road again, so thank you.